Where are they now? The 41 college football quarterback recruits ranked higher than Baker Mayfield in the 2013 college football recruiting class 12 years later. Well, to start, just in front of him at number 41 is Isaac Dotson, coming into Bellevue, Washington, who committed to play for Washington State. And at Washington State, he'd actually be converted into a linebacker, becoming a pretty solid player there, but never made it to the NFL. And cracking into the top 40 is Parker McLeod, coming out of Marietta, Georgia, who committed to play for Alabama. And he sadly never got to play for the Crimson Tide, transferring to Georgia, where he also never played. And coming in at 39 is Richard Lago, coming out of Plano, Texas, who committed to play for Connecticut. And he never played for the Huskies, transferring to Indiana, where he'd actually become a pretty solid starting quarterback there for 2 years. And now he's currently working as a senior territory manager for Boston Scientific. And at number 38 is Brendan Marshall, coming out of Oyne, Maryland, who committed to play for Virginia. And with the Cavaliers, he'd be converted into a tight end, but was extremely underwhelming there, never scoring a touchdown. And coming in at 37 is Aaron Zwaylen, coming out of Modesto, California, who committed to play for Hawaii. And sadly, at Hawaii, he just never really got to play, so he decided to walk on to Southern Utah. And he was just overall very bad in his time at Southern Utah and is now currently working as a self-employed real estate investor. And at 36 is Robert Mitchell, coming out of Beaumont, Texas, who committed to play for Lamar. And he redshirted his freshman season at Lamar, getting to see a little bit of playing time before transferring to Charleston Southern. But sadly, he just never really did much of anything in college football. And cracking into the top 35 is Max Straver, coming out of Brentwood, Tennessee, who committed to play for Florida. And sadly, he never got to play for the Gators, transferring to Houston Baptist University, where he was a solid quarterback before transferring to play for Maine. And at Maine, he never got to play for the Black Bears and is currently the founder and owner of QB Vision. And coming in at 34 is Tyler Cogswell, coming out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who committed to play for Cincinnati. And at Cincinnati, he would also be converted into a tight end, becoming a pretty solid player for the Bearcats, but is now currently working as an account manager. And at number 33 is Luke Del Rio, coming out of Littleton, Colorado, who committed to play for Alabama. And he never played for the Crimson Tide, transferring to Oregon State, where he played for 1 season before transferring to Florida, where he was a solid quarterback for 2 years. After that, though, he became a football coach like his father and is currently the offensive coordinator for the Paris Musketeers. And coming in at 32 is John O'Corn, coming out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who committed to play for Houston. And he had an amazing freshman season with the Cougars before taking a backseat in 2014 and then transferring to Michigan in 2015. And in his 2 years with the Wolverines, he just never really got to play and is now currently the founder and CEO of Brevity. And at number 31 is Chris Lavano, coming out of Hicksville, New York, who committed to play for Rutgers. And he actually became a solid starting quarterback in his 3 years with the Scarlet Knights, but is now currently a territory manager. And cracking into the top 30 is Ryan Finley, coming out of Phoenix, Arizona, who committed to play for Boise State. And in his 2 years at Boise, he was only ever a backup quarterback, not really getting to play, transferring to NC State. And with the Wolfpack, he became a great starting quarterback in his 3 years there, going on to be named a first-team All-ACC selection. And that allowed him to be picked in the 4th round of the 2019 NFL Draft by the Cincinnati Bengals, where he was sadly only ever a backup quarterback in the league, last playing in 2021 for the Texans. And at number 29 is Eddie Prince, coming out of Marietta, Georgia, who committed to play for Missouri. And he only ever threw 1 pass for the Missouri Tigers, transferring to Texas State, where he was also just a backup quarterback and is now currently a medical device sales representative. And coming in at 28 is Tim Boyle, coming out of Middletown, Connecticut, who committed to play for Connecticut. And in his 3 years with the Huskies, he was bad and was only ever a backup quarterback, transferring to Eastern Kentucky. And in his 1 season of college football there, he was pretty good, but would go undrafted in 2018, signing with the Packers. And since then, he's become one of the most reliable backups in the league, bouncing around and currently playing for the Tennessee Titans. And at number 27 is Chad Canoff, coming out of Studio City, California, who committed to play for Vanderbilt. And he immediately transferred to Princeton, where he became a great starting quarterback in his 4 years there, winning the Bushnell Cup and being a first-team All-Ivy League selection. Despite that, though, he still somehow went undrafted in 2018, never playing in the league and bouncing around, last playing for the Los Angeles Wildcats in 2020. And after that, he went back to school to get his master's degree from Stanford and is now currently an investor. And coming in at 26 is Brogan Roback, coming out of Toledo, Ohio, who committed to play for Eastern Michigan. And he was never amazing, but became a good quarterback in his 5 years with Eastern Michigan, going undrafted in 2018, signing with the Browns. After that, though, he never played in the NFL, last playing for the Dallas Renegades in 2020. And cracking into the top 25 is Davis Webb, coming out of Prosper, Texas, who committed to play for Texas Tech. And he was truly amazing in his first 3 years at Texas Tech, transferring to play for California in 2016. And in his 1 year with the Golden Bears, he was great, going on to be picked in the 3rd round of the 2017 NFL Draft by the Giants. After that, though, he was really only ever a backup quarterback in the NFL, last playing in 2022 before he's now currently become the Denver Broncos offensive pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach. And at number 24 is Corin Cutler, coming out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, who committed to play for the Virginia Cavaliers. And sadly, he never played a single snap of college football there and is now currently an insulation installer. And at number 23 is Riley Ferguson, coming out of Matthews, North Carolina, who committed to play for Tennessee. And he never played for the Volunteers, playing a year of JUCO football at Coffeyville before transferring to Memphis. And in his 2 years with the Memphis Tigers, he was amazing, throwing 70 touchdowns, but still somehow went undrafted in 2018, signing with the Buccaneers. After that, though, he sadly never played in the NFL and is now currently a talent acquisition partner for Lowe's. And at number 22 is Zach Greenlee, coming out of Stockton, California, who committed to play for Fresno State. And he was solid in his first 2 years of college football, with Fresno State transferring to UTEP in 2016. After that, though, he just never really did much at El Paso and is now currently a principal recruitment consultant. And coming in at 21 is Connor Mitch, coming out of Raleigh, North Carolina, who committed to play for South Carolina. And he was only really ever a backup quarterback at South Carolina, transferring to JMU where he never played. And now he is currently a logistics executive. And cracking into the top 20 is Austin Allen, coming out of Fayetteville, Arkansas, who committed to play for the Arkansas Razorbacks. And he played 5 years there, taking over as the starter in his last 2 years, where he was solid but went undrafted in 2018, signing with the Buccaneers. After that, though, he never played in the NFL, last playing professional football in 2019. And at number 19 is Kyle Bolin, coming out of Lexington, Kentucky, who committed to play for Louisville. And he was a solid backup quarterback in his first 4 years with the Cardinals before transferring to Rutgers, where he didn't do very much in 2017. And now he is currently working for Purdue Farms as the senior vice president of the whole bird and profit optimization. And coming in at 18 is Tyler Brugman, coming out of Phoenix, Arizona, who committed to play for Washington State. And he never played for the Cougars, transferring to Texas A&M, where he also never played, and then played a year at Montana State. And after that, he's now currently the vice president of the institutional team for ABI Multifamily. And at number 17 is Danny Etling, coming out of Indiana, who committed to play for Purdue. And he immediately got to play for the Boilermakers, being a solid player before transferring to LSU in 2015. And he actually got to start in his last 2 years with the Tigers, being a solid quarterback, going on to be picked in the 7th round of the 2018 NFL Draft, where he never played. He actually did win a Super Bowl, though, bouncing around professional leagues and currently playing for the Michigan Panthers. And coming in at 16 is Ryan Buchanan, coming in at Jackson, Mississippi, who committed to play for Ole Miss. And at Ole Miss, he was just overall a complete bust, only throwing 2 touchdowns there, and is now currently a property and marine broker. And cracking into the top 15 is Jared Goff, coming in at Greenbrier, California, who committed to play for California. And in his 3 years with the Golden Bears, he was truly amazing, throwing 96 touchdowns as he was going to be picked first overall in the 2016 NFL Draft by the Los Angeles Rams. And after that, he played 5 years with the Rams, where he was good but not amazing, going on to be traded off to the Lions in 2021. And through his first 5 years with the Lions, he's revitalized his career, making 4 Pro Bowls and holds many NFL records. And at number 14 is Anthony Jennings, coming in of Marietta, Georgia, who committed to play for LSU. And he was a solid quarterback in his first 2 years with the Tigers before transferring to the University of Louisiana, where he was pretty good in 2016. Sadly, though, now he currently works for Walmart and the Juicy Crab Incorporation. And coming in at 13 is Ryan Burns, coming in at Ashburn, Virginia, who committed to play for Stanford. And he was also just overall a bust in his 5 years at Stanford, throwing more interceptions than touchdowns, and is now currently the senior product designer for Truist. And at number 12 is Cole Stewart, coming into Houston, Texas, who committed to play for Texas A&M. Despite that, though, Stewart never went to college, going on to be picked 4th overall in the 2013 MLB Draft by the Minnesota Twins. And after that, he became a solid professional baseball player, last playing for the Cubs in 2021. And coming in at 11 is Jeremy Johnson, coming into Montgomery, Alabama, who committed to play for Auburn. And in his 4 years with the Tigers, he was a good quarterback but wasn't great, going on to play professional football overseas. And he dominated in the Mexico Football League and is now currently also a football coach as the offensive coordinator for Charles Henderson High School. And cracking into the top 10 is Joshua Dobbs, coming into Alpharetta, Georgia, who committed to play for Tennessee. And he became a very good dual-threat quarterback in his 4 years with the Tennessee Volunteers, going on to be picked in the 4th round of the 2017 NFL Draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And since then, he's become one of the most reliable backup quarterbacks in the NFL, bouncing around and currently playing for the New England Patriots. And at number 9 is Hayden Rettig, coming into Los Angeles, California, who committed to play for LSU. And he never played for the Tigers, transferring to Rutgers, where he also didn't do very much in 2015. And following that, in 2017, he transferred to Tennessee Tech, where he also never played. And coming in at 8 is Cody Thomas, coming out of Coffeyville, Texas, who committed to play for Oklahoma. And he was a solid quarterback in his first 2 years with the Sooners before being replaced by Baker Mayfield and going on to be picked in the 13th round of the 2016 MLB Draft. So following that, he quit football to focus on professional baseball, where he's currently playing for the Long Island Ducks. And at number 7 is Bryce Ramsey, coming out of Kingsland, Georgia, who committed to play for the Georgia Bulldogs. And in his 4 years in Athens, he was only ever a backup quarterback and is now currently a business development manager. And coming in at 6 is Troy Williams, coming out of Harbor City, California, who committed to play for Washington. And he played 1 year with the Huskies, where he didn't do very much before playing a year of JUCO football and then transferring to Utah. And with the Utes, he actually became a pretty solid starting quarterback, bouncing around professional football leagues and currently playing for the Memphis Snowboats. And cracking into the top 5 is Kevin Olson, coming out of Wayne, New Jersey, who committed to play for Miami. And he just overall got in a bunch of legal troubles at Miami, transferring to play for Charlotte, where he was just not a very good quarterback. And now he's currently a coach and the founder of Olson Passing Academy. And coming in at 4 is Cooper Bateman, coming out of Salt Lake City, Utah, who committed to play for Alabama. And he just overall never never really did much of anything with the Crimson Tide, transferring to Utah where he never played and is now currently a sales manager. And cracking into the top 3 is Shane Morris, coming out of Warren, Michigan, who committed to play for Michigan. And in his 3 years with the Wolverines, he was only ever a backup quarterback, never really getting an opportunity, transferring to play for Central Michigan in 2017. And in his 1 year of college football there, he was actually pretty good, but last played professional football in 2019. And coming in at 2 is Christian Hackenberg, coming out of Fork Union, Virginia, who committed to play for Penn State. And in his 3 years with the Nittany Lions, he was actually a pretty good quarterback there, being named the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. And as a result, he'd be picked in the 2nd round of the 2016 NFL draft by the Jets, where he sadly never got to play at all in the NFL and last played professional football in 2019. And now Christian Hackenberg is currently the Director of State Media and Athlete Relations. And finally, at number 1 is Max Brown, coming out of Washington, who committed to play for USC. And overall, in his 4 years with the Trojans, he was just a complete bust, transferring to play for Pittsburgh in 2017. And in his senior season of college football there, he was a solid quarterback, but decided to give up football and is now currently working for ESPN.